Hello, I'm Connor Fowler,
And I'm Matt Smith.
and welcome to Apocalypse Duds. Today, we welcome a man of many parts, the Doppler daddy with the drip, the airman who can, the radar reader, the rakish rustler, the caballero in camo, the Louisiana lawman, the hero in the Homburg. His boots were made for walking. Robert Waldrup.
I'm gonna have to re-listen to that and save it and put those in my firm bio. Jesus, the Doppler daddy with the drip. How did I not think of that myself?
And you know what's insane, dude? That was the first one I came up with. That was the first one that came out of my brain, and I was like, "God, it's good."
Incredible.
I told Connor earlier today, like we've done this little, this is kind of our intro shtick, so to speak. This is absolutely the best one that this man has come up with, and my hat is off to you, Connor.
I am remarkably honored for so much. I feel like Apollo Creed when he fought the Russian cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Vlad, whatever.
Hopefully, Robert, you don't die at the end of this episode. Let's just keep that in mind with the Apollo Creed reference.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, we're Rocky / American enthusiasts, so let's make it the biggest intro of all time. That's our goal. Okay, so I have a very big lead up, and just to set the tone for the interview, it's a burning question that we both have, Robert. All right, are you ready for this?
I'm listening.
I need your top 3 Dirty South rap songs of all time.
Top 3 Dirty South rap songs.
Yes.
Okay.
He's accepted the challenge.
All right.
Yes.
I'll say this. They're probably all coming from Scarface.
Okay.
Okay. All right. The first one comes to mind is Diary of a Madman. You talk about a track that discusses, I guess, mental health in raw gangster realness. I don't know that anyone really holds a candle to Scarface when it just comes to talking about just visceral emotions and a fucked up headspace packaged in authentic gangster, street shit.
Fuck yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably leading with that one.
Okay.
All
Solid
right.
number 1 choice, if I'm being honest. So.
All right. Let's see. I'm in Louisiana. Let me throw my boy Boosie up in there. I can't help but to just feel something in my spirit when I hear "Set It Off." So I'm gonna throw Bootsy in there, "Set It Off." Probably not ending up on a whole lot of folks' top 3 of all time, but in the spirit of just fun for this conversation, let's throw my man Bootsy up in there.
All right.
And right. And look, Matt, we finally, met face to face in Georgia. I was in South Georgia at the time. And so let's throw it up for Pastor Troy.
Yes.
No more playing GA. No more playing GA. Let's do that.
Dude, hats off to you, Robert. This came from the whole conversation that you and I have had, just about random Dirty South rap and just, being Southern people and appreciating the, just the sound and the feel that it has compared to literally any other rapper hip hop on the scene. So
I think I lost you there for a second, but no, I hear you, man. And look, I think we've probably had this conversation before. they don't get enough love for what they brought to the rap game as far as its authenticity, as far as having a range of topics. I mean, I just don't know. Just as an example, I just don't know who really crosses or bridges those subject areas like the Ghetto Boys. From you go from kind of just straight gangster shit to consciousness to you know um, just kind of doing the same, just uh, going after women and things like that. I mean, just a whole range of topics. You get it all from them. I don't think anyone does it better. You got to shout out
Absolutely.
Jay Prince being the boss of all bosses. I mean, who's been in the game longer with more respect uh, across a plethora of areas like Jay Prince. You can't name one that holds a candle to him, and probably could name one across several industries unrelated to music.
Right.
And so they don't. You start talking about hip hop, and everybody wants to default to New York or California, and yet, I mean,
Hog
them.
shit.
I mean, look, man. I mean, give it up and give respect where it's due. But when it comes down to it, tell me those cats are not finding a way to either collaborate, interact, copy, borrow, or steal from Southern cats. This
Yep.
has been the most. I mean,
It's all about quote interpolation that is discussed very often, but it's like, yeah, it's theft.
right. Which listen, whatever. But we they don't get enough love for being what they are, and the sounds that come up out of here, and just the the staying powerness of that Southern sound. So you got to give it up.
Yeah, man. I feel like I'm certainly not a historian of rap and hip hop, but I've been listening to a lot of it for the majority of my life, being mostly Southern, and then a little bit of like other East Coast stuff. West Coast, I respect it. Not really my thing. Whatever.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, um, there's just like there's a feeling about Southern rap that just does not exist anywhere. And like you said, it hasn't gotten the recognition it really deserves. But like 3 6, for example, you can pretty much like I'm not a music writer, wish I were, but you can say that like all of the most modern kind of shit, like the triplet stuff that Migos and the other you know other groups do, like that all comes back to Memphis. And like
Right.
there's just so many examples of that in the game that like I don't know, you can trace back to what people were doing here, selling shit out of their trunk. And it's like, yo, that like never gets talked about, at least.
Well, what I dig about it too, man. I mean, look, and this might be a gross generalization, but you talk about West Coast. We're talking about California. Now that's again, that's an overgeneralization because what you get in the Bay sounds a lot different than what you hear in LA. You know what I'm saying? And then some of the underground stuff has another kind of a feel to it. Okay, but we're generally talking about California. Okay, you talk about the Northeast kind of thing. We're talking about New York, and again, give it up. Premier, Nas, Wu Tang. I'm a huge Wu Tang fan.
Oh, totally.
You know,
You do Wu Tang
you know,
Wednesday, for God's sakes.
That's right.
Like,
That's right. That's right. We can't, I guess, fail to give it its props. But when you talk about Dirty South, though, right? I mean, you go all throughout the fucking South, and you got a different sound. Houston sounds different than what you're getting in New Orleans. New Orleans sounds different than what you're getting in Florida. Florida sounds different than what you're getting in Tennessee. And then you can move on to North Carolina, which there's always like been this historical New York to North Carolina, transplantation. And, some of the cats I was listening to back when I was in college, like Little Brother and Ninth Wonder,
Yeah,
kind
of
of
course.
they kind of blend that feel of kind of like a New York kind of style of production with Southern resonation and lyricism and topics.
Sensibilities.
It's like being at listening to shit you're going to hear in a barbershop or at a family reunion or on the church steps after service. You know what I mean? Like you're getting that kind of a vibe to it. And we ain't even talking about some of the drive-by shit that kind of popped off in the late 90s, early 2000 aughts, Nappy Roots, cats like that. You know what I mean? The whole other vibe. I don't know that you really get the range of just sound diversity throughout the South as a region as you get in other pockets of hip hop.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, New York sound is like a pretty rigid thing. There's that Griselda revival with West Side and all of those guys who are doing like sort of an homage to all of the rap that was coming out of New York in the early 90s. And I would say the same goes for people like Kendrick Lamar and YG, are just sort of reviving something that has existed already, whereas the South is about mixing and sort of mending.
But when you say Griselda, though, I still think, like, take Benny, for example. Benny, I'm a huge Benny fan. And, to me, the comps, Cool G Rap and Scarface. I mean, just when you talk about just straight gangster lyricism that is very well put together, very well delivered, and just kind of just raw and gritty. I think he's very much, and to your point, I do think they are an homage to old school shit. And yet I think that dude is also kind of throwing it back to Southern roots.
For sure. In the dark kitchen, all you hear is the fork clicking.
That's right.
Yeah, they've got it, really.
Yeah, to me, them cats are really carrying the torch for. I mean, at least in my mind, my taste in music is pretty tight and narrow. But if I had to list a contemporary top five, I mean, hell, three of them cats in Griselda are occupying 3 seats in the lineup. You know what I mean? So
certainly, yeah, certainly.
Yeah, this conversation could not have gone any better, in my opinion, Robert. And I'm very happy that you were, willing to chat about this, because it was the
Matt said he wanted to do it first. Yeah, he was like, "We're leading with this question. That's it."
As you should.
Hell yeah.
So we know that you were born in Louisiana and grew up in North Carolina, and now you're back in Louisiana. What was your childhood and early life like in the South in the 80s and 90s, and kind of what made you ultimately return to Louisiana?
Well, so I mean, I grew up. I mean, look, man, I've been in and around the military for 37 years. I mean, okay. I was born in northern Louisiana when my mother was stationed up there. She was Air Force. It ended up in North Carolina, in I think 96. I was also another military assignment, and spent some time abroad before that. Spent some time in California for a year before that, and was in North Carolina from about 96 to 07. But I mean, look, man. Without getting into too much of a deep, heavy topic, it was very much a latchkey kid, and as far as what I had going on, I mean, wasn't really dialed into music like that. I mean, for that early 90s, era of hip hop, I was in Okinawa, and you didn't really hear all that stuff out there. I remember my mother had purchased Into the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, and I mean, I didn't listen to it until I was in college. I mean, it was around, but I didn't really get on it at that point, and so kind of missed a big evolution of something that I kind of throw back to now. But when it was happening, I wasn't really participating.
Right.
And so kind of moving around a little bit as a kid, and having moved around a little bit as an adult, I guess it kind of keeps you not married to certain locations or certain things for too long, or being too attached to things, but also I guess building something of an instinct to be able to just pick up and move whenever it's time to go. The difference now is that I get to make a decision myself versus having, some cat in a uniform I've never met, telling me what's best for my career, and my life for that matter. I mean, to your question about why I came back here. I mean, I went to law school here. This is having moved around a bit. This was one of the few places that ever kind of felt like home to me, in New Orleans.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
just I recite this a lot. I mean, there's an old what's saying by Tennessee Williams. If I'm misquoting it, forgive me, but it's like, there's three American cities: New York, New Orleans, and San Francisco. Everything else is Cleveland. And
Yep.
that's it. You feel that. I mean, there's certainly a pulse and a vibe and a heartbeat to this city, man. And I remember when I was kind of first, I guess, kind of laying the groundwork to move back here. I had my Tulane hoodie on, and I get off the plane at the airport. I'm about to walk out to catch a cab, and there was a gal at the door, and she was like, "Okay, Mr. Tulane, welcome home, baby." You just don't really get that. You don't really get that kind of, I guess, welcoming just in an airport from a stranger like that who was treating me and talking to me like family. I'm not even like really from here. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it just like I said, man, it has a bit of a home feel to it. It may not be the forever place, but I'm good here for now, and it's been a good place to kind of pick up, this next phase of my life post military, and see what's popping.
Hell yeah. That's a beautiful answer of why you returned to someplace. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So you're talking about your career post-military. I was wondering, I did do some research. I was wondering if you could give a little rundown of your career up until this point. You are very young and very accomplished already.
That's very kind of you. Let's see. I commissioned into the Air Force in 2000, I guess late 2007. Was a weather officer, so I'm a degreed meteorologist. Did that for about
that was so surprising to me.
Yeah. It probably takes a lot of people breath away, but did that one for about 5.5 years. Was in Tucson, Arizona for a couple of years. 8 to 10, came back to Louisiana. I was back in Bossier City up there at Barstow Air Force Base from 10 to 12. Deployed to Kyrgyzstan 6 months out of that. To Korea for a year. I think that was 12 to 13. 13 to 16, came back to New Orleans, was in law school, and then spent the next 5 years in San Antonio. And then the last 7 months, so that would have been, probably August to September 2021 until April of this year in Valdosta. And that was, so I guess the last 6 years was, I was a JAG,
Okay.
military lawyer in the Air Force on some Tom Cruise type shit. And, yeah, man. So that, it was cool for what it was. And I mean, I didn't really mesh well with them so much that career field. So it was time to make a move and dip on out of that. So, so I got on with a law firm out here in New Orleans. It's a commercial litigation firm. And so we're gonna grind this out until till whenever.
Dude, and Robert,
wow. I thought,
yeah, like that's an impressive fucking CV.
I'm glad you think so. I mean, I hope someone else does too. Shit, but I mean, it's cool, man. I mean, I guess I don't reflect on it too much, but I regret not taking better advantage of some of the places I was at the time, and just kind of availing myself of seeing stuff when I was out there. Like, I mean, I was in Arizona for a couple of years, and I saw the Grand Canyon once or twice, but Patagonia, Sedona, stuff in Tombstone, big, was it Bisbee, just place, no Gallus, shit like that didn't really strike my fancy back then, man. But it ain't going nowhere, so kind of in a better space now to kind of see what stuff like that is like. And I'm glad I did a little bit of traveling when I was in Valdosta. Part of that was just not wanting to be in Valdosta. I traveled,
Yeah,
traveled quite a bit when I was out there, just kind of on a whim. So I'm still trying to get myself together, and I guess with this new gig and feel myself out there. It's been a little bit busier, but I'll start building in some travel time for that too, and see some different things and get some different experiences under my belt.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess like you're from a military background, so you've traveled a lot your entire life, basically. Like from deployment to deployment or station, whatever the word is there. But like, how old are you?
37.
So in your 37 years, you've probably seen more of like the world and just various spaces than a ton of people do in their entire lifetime. Like that's just impressive to me. Uh, and the fact that you've kind of like just done your thing and like figured out, figured out different ways that you can advance both your career and yourself. Like that's just awesome, man. Um, and just hearing it all put in one place, like I don't know, it is impressive to me.
Yeah, well, thank you, bro.
Yeah, of course. So we in our research, mostly Connor's research, we have discovered that you're on the board of a nonprofit that um, was developed to bridge the achievement gap of underserved minorities through STEM programs. Like,
Right.
that's kind of a rad thing. And how did you get involved with that?
So one of my mentors in college, I mean, he was graduated several years, before I started classes, but got clicked in with him, and had a lot of similarities. He did ROTC, was in the Air Force for a little bit. I think he was a missileer. Got out and went to business school, and he's been kind of doing his thing up in New York ever since. But several years ago, I think it's been over 10 years now, he popped off this STEM academy. It's a week long, program uh, for predominantly young black males, um, and it teaches them, kind of like the STEM component of it is robotics. So they go through a week long program, kind of learning just the basics of robotics and computer programming, and they have a capstone at the end of the week where they build and program their own robot, and all this happens in the course of a week. But they build in just physical fitness in it as well, and leadership. uh, they have guest speakers kind of come in and give them some game on those topics. And so I had gone up to New York probably maybe 2017 or 18, and ran into my man, and he was like, we got the academy popping off in a couple months. Why don't you come down and be the keynote speaker?
Oh
I said,
shit!
absolutely. And so we did that, and they invited me onto the board, and it's been great, man. Some other really good professionals, and they've got I guess a long track record of success with the program. And now you're starting to see some of the graduates when they were children. Now these cats are college age at this point, and so it's just been a very gratifying and rewarding thing to be a part of. And it's, I guess, kind of somewhat serendipitous in that just what ended up starting as a vacation ended up being something that would be I guess enrich me both professionally and personally. But yeah, man, Wilson A. Butler Academy, check it out. It's fantastic.
Hell yeah!
And so I don't want to put you on the spot here, but we did look into it, and we were wondering about the scholarship, the Tulane scholarship, which is another like wow thing
Yeah,
to have.
yeah. So the Waldrup Crosby scholarship at Tulane Law School. Me and my good friend of mine, classmate, we popped that off probably several days before we graduated. And so I guess I'll speak to my specific motivation for it. We went to law school in New Orleans at Tulane. And I think a lot of people kind of have an expectation that that school is a lot more diverse than it really is. At least I'll speak for the law school anyway. I can't say much about the other, colleges or the university at large, but we're in a city that is 60% black. And out of the 200 or so that graduated with me, we graduated 9 black students. And so you look at that and it's like, all right, well, you know, it hasn't always been that way, right? There was a nice little run in the '90s up through pre-Katrina that had up to 20-25% black population at the law school, and it's just kind of been on the decline since then. And so you're trying to just to have a way to address that. I mean, for me, it was like for whatever reason, law school was a way to kind of hit the academic and professional reset button. I kind of went from the weather career field to law, and was starting fresh and kind of wanted to pour my all into my studies, and ended up doing very well, and had I guess on the back end of that looked at Tulane and New Orleans and whatever as kind of helping me hit that reset button and get off to a good start in this next phase. And so, one thing I enjoyed while I was in law school was, mentoring underclassmen for their exams or what have you, help them study, and wanted to have a way or some sort of a mechanism to stay involved and engage with the students and kind of give back. And so we launched the scholarship. We put up, some of our own money, and thankfully, Gary had a law partner that liked what we were doing, and he and his wife threw up in a little piece of money to help us get to a threshold amount to be able to restrict the fund to, first generation. We preferred to go to first generation black students, and so we it's been throwing off scholarship money for the last 4 or 5 years. We've got another recipient this year. I met with the young brother several weeks ago. Former Marine, got out doing his thing in law school, and so it's the goal would be to get it to $1 million in perpetuity, or I guess $1 million, so that in the endowment, so that we can fund a full ride within in perpetuity, right? It'll give off a full ride every year,
right?
But for now, it's got about a couple $100,000 in the endowment, so it's throwing off a little piece of change. It's not a ton, but it helps out a little bit. And the other component to it is just the mentorship piece, right? So you got the financial angle, but also myself and Gary will my friend that helped launch it. We'll meet with the student and just kind of be a source of networking and advice for them, and we check in on them and try to meet with them before they begin their studies, and let them know we're there for them. And law school is kind of a different animal as far as studying and that sort of a thing, but so it's just be a resource for them throughout their 3 years, and be it class selection, be it what's up with this professor, be it how do I study for this exam, or hey, I'm looking for a gig in this location, someone that you can put me on with. And we try to be a resource for all of that. And so we're still raising money, trying to build it up, but it's been a good program so far.
Man, that's a really incredible story, and just the fact that you guys kind of had this idea, and that you're able to kind of go into doing this work for people that I'm assuming you've got a heart for. Like, if something like this had been available to you at some point when you went back to law school, like, I don't know, it's just it's great that y'all are trying to do this, like, public service of a point, and the mentorship angle in particular.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thrust of it, man. I mean, the biggest piece is, to me, I mean, the money helps for sure, but like I said, law school is kind of a different animal as far as studying. It's it's very unforgiving. I mean, you don't have like a series of midterms and quizzes and things like that to build a grade. It's one exam. You know what I mean? So
Right.
the stakes are high, and people kind of cope with it better than others. But insofar as we can be a resource to kind of ease that transition and make it slow down a little bit for our recipients, we want to do that.
Hell yeah. I very much appreciate you sharing that, that kind of like just wealth of information about the program and the scholarship. So I thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for giving me the platform to talk about it.
Of course, man. That's what we're here for.
So, continuing from before, I found this interview that you did on a site called A Sustainable Closet, where you described your relationship with clothing as sartorial jazz. I don't want to rehash that. People can check out that interview. I want to hear, like, are I don't know, are you hearing music as you're getting dressed? Are you planning your outfits before the night before? What is your process that in that way?
Huh. You know what, man? There was a moment where I think I had tried to plan stuff out the night before, and I guess sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But um, sometimes the to me, some of the better productions kind of come on the fly, and so
Absolutely, because
and
I'm a
so
planner.
yeah, no, I'm very much a planner too, man. So part of it was, but I guess the other part too is um, trying to stay organic with it and kind of let it, kind of
Mhm.
what I'm feeling that day, or kind of look at something and get an idea. I don't know. I don't know if there's much of a process to it. Sometimes when I get stuck, I might say, well, what would Vernon Valentine do? And it helps me kind of get to some kind of resolution.
Yeah, definitely. So, who's Vernon Valentine? We had the question down. Actually, it's the next question. So, who is Vernon Valentine?
Vernon Valentine is a professor at Tulane Law School. He's a
Nice, dude. That's so good.
just an old school New Orleans dandy. Drives a Jaguar. I mean, fucking white tennis outfits, blazers with the pocket squares, and just um, just a real suave, debonair, handsome man. Just in he's
Oh yeah.
a world's authority in his field. And I always thought his full name is Vernon Valentine Palmer, and I always thought that name was just so perfect. He probably gave it to himself. And so when
Mm.
I when I jumped
Damn.
when I jumped on the gram, that was the alter ego I was going for. That kind of classic New Orleans gentleman. I don't know if I've quite achieved that, but the name is dope. At least I think it is anyway.
Oh,
Dude,
fuck yeah.
that's got
It's
to be the
alliterative,
best
like the intro.
origin story
No
of a
doubt.
handle
No
I've ever
doubt.
heard in my entire fucking life. Not even kidding.
So, we are talking then about the Black Dandy Vernon Valentine. We're talking about the book Black Ivy. We're wondering if you have any thoughts about that. I mean, as it applies to your dressing, which I would say that it does.
Yeah, I mean, uh, what can I say, man? Solid piece. Um, Great inspiration. I actually took notes. I would say that kind of what I'm rocking now is very much a Black Ivy inspired piece.
Yeah.
Uh, Vernon
What?
Valentine'd up with cowboy boots, as I do.
Yeah,
You know.
we've noticed that you're a pretty big fan of cowboy boots and kind of like other, Western styles. Like
Well,
where
listen, I got to give it to you, Matt. I mean, if certainly, it took a little while for me to get into it, and it was like an acquisition here, an acquisition there, and just kind of starting to build it into different looks. And I remember you messaged me one day and was like, I really like how you're working in Western wear with a lot of your looks. And I was like, you know what? Thank you. I think we're going to go off to the races with
Oh
this one. So
fuck, dude! I'm honored, honestly.
yeah,
Like
yeah, no
that's
doubt. So that's part of the catalyst,
dude. That is awesome. Yeah, it's one of those things that I guess in the few years that I've known you, I've always appreciated is that like whether you're wearing cowboy boots with a suit or like you're in some kind of camo pants or something, like you always look comfortable in whatever you're wearing. And like I mean from meeting you in person to seeing tons of photos of you on Instagram, like it's a it's a very like natural kind of way to present yourself, and I've appreciated it in you. Like how did you become just so comfortable like wearing however you're feeling that day, or just clothing in general? Like what brought you to that like, kind of level?
yeah. I don't know, man. I think maybe oddly, maybe not. I mean, when I was in high school, it was square shit. I mean, it was silver tab jeans, Adidas shell toes, and fucking rock t-shirts, which I wish I still had. Looking at this shit now, uh,
Dude, you and me
you
both,
know,
brother.
uh,
You and me both.
yeah, So that was the vibe then. But at some point, I don't know, man. I think it may have been just some feelings of self-loathing, and decided to just change it up a little bit. And that probably started maybe senior year in high school, and when I was in college, it was like poster boy for like Ralph Lauren and shit, and was rocking suits and loud ass fucking trouser and tie and shirt and sport coat mashups, and it was just very much, I guess you would call it maybe gentleman's wear, but that was kind of the vibe for me back then. And when I graduated and was doing the military thing, and of course I'm wearing a uniform every day and wasn't really going a whole lot of places, and kind of got away from some of the more creative styling, and that went on for, I mean, maybe shit 10 years. And when I got to San Antonio, for whatever reason, decided to maybe start getting back into it a little bit. Have no explanation as to why, but it kind of began with selvage denim, not necessarily vintage, but just the denim looks thing. And
It's a
then
lot of people's entree into the whole scene, right? Like, was that one of your first kind of purchases, your first like real money clothing purchases?
probably. I can't recall the first pair, but there was a few rail cars
Yep.
up in there.
Hell yeah.
What's that other one up in San
Tellison.
Ellison? Yeah, that's exactly it.
Did
Yep.
you, let me ask, did you have like on the forums, the fashion forums, and at the time, exactly the time you're talking about, 2007, 2008, 2009, what have you,
Yeah.
do you remember the like pitch about like the screaming about the sizing? Like everyone was like, so my god, are we gonna size these too tight, are we gonna size them too little, we're gonna shrink them? It was chaos.
Uh, yeah, I was not dialed in at all to any of that shit. I'm not even sure how I got plugged into them cats. I don't have the first damn clue. But for whatever reason, that was that was the move. It was that.
Mm-hmm.
It was Railcard, Tellison, and LVC. Um,
Yeah, you could do
and
worse
and
than that.
picked up, kind of from there, started following cats on the gram and just seeing these dudes mix it up with some OG type shit. So okay, so now I get to get some OG 107s mixed in here, and
Mm-hmm.
once I started following that crowd, then actually the next turn was like French workwear and French military. That was the next kind of phase of it. And believe it or not, from there, that's how I got to hats. Got plugged in with this hatter over in Paris, Um, and so most of the hats at that point were custom. And this is like early COVID. We're
Right.
talking. We start getting into all this, and then I don't know, man. I guess from there, I start seeing a little bit more of the range of the vintage um, world, and started playing with the styling a little bit, and seeing how I could. I guess that's when I don't know, maybe the I don't know, desire or instinct or whatever to try to blend dissimilar things to find, harmonies that where you might not expect them. And that was kind of the genesis of Vernon Valentine, really. And it's just been a sartorial evolution ever since then.
Dude, it's funny that you have like, you kind of talk about only being the past, handful of years that you've really like thrown yourself into clothing, but it really does sound to me, just in talking to you, like you've always had an innate like style. You've always had a vision that you wanted to like present to things. So like it's I feel like there's got to be a fashion versus style kind of question here. Eh, like did you have influences around you as a youngster, that were kind of like, oh, this dude looks cool, like I think yeah, just I'd be very curious to see where you just kind of picked up your like even marginal enjoyment of clothing.
Yeah, I mean, in college, I mean, I don't know, cats like your boy Andre from Outkast. You know what I mean? He was a bit of a style icon in that era. Um,
Absolutely.
so that might have been some of it there. Say what you want about the motherfucker, but at the time too, Kanye West had his own kind of thing going on, and
Oh,
um,
sure.
you know, um, I might not have picked up too many cues, but I mean, you at least get a sense of I don't know, maybe the expression of identity, along with the clothing. And I think that's kind of what it is for me now. I guess it's I don't want to over intellectualize it, but um, that to me is the style versus the fashion piece, right? I mean, what message are you trying to communicate with the clothing? Um,
Totally.
but also, you know, for me, it's been something of I guess, an expression of the individuality, but also um, I don't know, just kind of building a level of comfort with just being yourself. I mean, it's been something that's been, I guess, kind of at the root of a lot of things for me for a lot of years. Either feeling like I had to, either suppressing what I really want to be, or not really sure who I really want to be, or um, you know, that tension of trying to pick up cues but not copy, or be individual and not assimilate. I don't know, but um, now it's kind of a matter of just being, kind of building the bone and the instinct to be me at all times. You know,
Yeah.
Very good. Very, yeah. I mean, people talk about style and and this we were hesitant to even ask the question. Um, but I wanted to talk about your Instagram posts, which I looked at all 146 of them. They are outfit photos. And I couldn't stop thinking about each one like as a movie character, and it really does seem that the photos themselves are cinematic, like in the earlier ones at least, where you're posing. I assume recently you like have been in your house. This is not like a judgment call, things are just different now. And so I wonder if you have you been inspired by film? Do you like movies? Has that influenced your style? I mean, I know it's sort of inescapable, but your style is a particular one.
yeah. I mean, I do like movies. I like art generally, right? Um, I mean, I'm very much moved by art, and I'm not conversant in art history or this over that
No,
or
and neither am
Yeah,
I.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just for the record, neither am I.
It's just like
it's
a
kind of like
general appreciation.
right, without a doubt. And so um, I don't know, man. I mean, you pick up things here, there, or kind of just file it back into the mental Rolodex and dig it up sometime later. Um,
Because sometimes it's like you see an extra that has like a neckerchief tied just a certain way, right? And you're like, I've never seen that before. That's not a person that is in. I mean, they are in the movie, but they are not starring in the movie. So
right.
I was just wondering if you had any people, like I was thinking Western people or like old World War II movies, stuff like that.
If you hadn't asked me, I could probably come up with an intelligent answer to that. And yet,
Well, you killed the rap. You killed the rap question, and so I was like,
Yeah.
this guy is just prepared. He's a prepared person. Because I couldn't tell you that my top three, probably anything with a gun to my head. I just am not that way. I think too much, So I thought it was fucking impressive, frankly, that you rattled off those three rap songs. So I guess, yeah, interesting.
yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess I think a little bit more about hip hop than I do about the clothing
Yeah.
piece. It's more of a
Yeah.
matter of for it to be, I don't know, thoughtless or but organic and kind of just it moves one way or the other depending upon any number of factors. I mean, I don't know that it's scientific. I don't know that it's formulaic, um, or if it's even just a bit nonsensical to say it just kind of happens. But um, I don't know, man. I go through ebbs and flows with like anything else. I mean, some days I'm kind of motivated to try to push the envelope a little bit. Other days I can't. I make an ugly baby and can't seem to put some shit together to save my life. I mean, it just kind of runs. And usually when I'm doing that, I'm doing too much. Usually it's when I'm being simple with it and not and kind of paring things down and making it easier or more simple is when the magic kind of happens. So I don't know. I mean, insofar as I've got a signature style, it's been more a matter of just staying true to elements I like and finding ways to just do those things in an infinite number of ways.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that a lot, you can take a lot from that. I thought that was a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's certainly like not the norm, I feel like, for people that genuinely like, appreciate clothing and stuff. Like, I don't know. Sometimes you want to throw on every single thing that you think looks cool and then you put it together and it's like, no, that looks fucking stupid. So,
Right.
you know, learning to sparse the two between how you're, projecting how you feel and looking like a douchebag. It's a hard thing, but I feel like you kind of like have been working on figuring that out. So,
Well, like I said, man, there's 146 images up there, and yet I've been throwing new shit on for every day for 2 years. You can do the math.
right,
That's a lot of fucking
yeah,
ugly
yeah,
things
yeah.
that did not. You know what I'm saying? So,
Dude, I
so
feel it.
uh, so it's cool, man. Like I mean, I enjoy acquiring new pieces, and look, that part certainly helps. I mean, when you've got some fly shit to style with,
Right,
it's
right.
it makes life a little bit easier. You know what I mean? Like it's but listen, respect to those that can just throw on a white t-shirt and some denim and just kind of emote James Dean. You know what I mean? Like that's got a place too.
Totally, man. Totally. We're style realists, if we're being honest.
But see, I'm here for it though, man. I remember you posted what was that fucking thing? It was some meme like, why does every vintage cat look like Phil Collins and just a mashup of just You know, I'm here for that. And I look at Connor's stories, and it's like, all right, we got the OG up underneath the sport coat with some khakis on and loafers. I mean, I'm here for that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude,
I dig.
exactly.
I dig seeing people that are just very much in their element, even if it's something that I can't do. I mean, you take cues from someone else just being themselves. And
Oh,
I think
totally.
that's more what I try to glean from. If I'm seeing something, it maybe not be so much of let me do that, but I like how you put that together. Like, so how would Vernon Valentine do that same look? You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
And kind of just throw it, keep throwing it back to what's most authentic with what I'm trying to do with the style.
Yeah, man. And like you said, however you're feeling that day, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you said about the white socks and loafers. You said that, or that's not for, those don't work for me today. I just thought that was a good way of saying something. That's a good way of saying you don't like something, I guess, question mark.
Well, more of what it is, man, is probably um, a benefit of therapy and just trying not to talk in absolutes and nevers and always
Mhm.
and can'ts and won'ts. But today
God,
I'm
I
gonna
would
keep the
benefit
show on.
so
But
much.
you know what? You might get me like that in a month or two. I might see the light then. Just kind of keeping the door open.
Yeah, yeah, no, I appreciate it. I mean, outside of the clothing context, I took it and put it in my brain. I thought that it was a good way of speaking, a good way of being. So, I wanted to ask you, we all know you have a lot of clothes, you have a lot of cool pieces. I wanted to talk about organization. How is your wardrobe? Is it a closet? Is it is it clothing? Is this an invasive question? I don't know.
No, it's not invasive. I mean, I got a trunk with the winter shit in it. Now I got the spare bedroom slash office is got a little bit more space than the bedroom, so that one's that's a little more put together and organized as far as sportswear is in a corner. I think followed by military, followed by workwear, followed by jackets, followed by suits, sport coats, followed by the alohas, followed by the denim jackets, right? Um, the uh, uh, the other closet, I've got shelving in there. So we've got the shoes. I guess the boots kind of transition to the shoes. Go to the tees. Go to the sweats. We got the boots on the floor. We got the coveralls and the overalls in the corner. Then the denim. Then the westerns. Then the kind of the everyday shirts, and then we got more of my everyday kick around. Office wear, sport coats. Trousers. Underneath that one. So
Very
it's not
good. No
color.
surprises, but
It's more thematic. Is probably how it's organized.
yeah, it's about you want your clothes to look good when you look at them, right?
Well, it's that, but I guess I'm also kind of OCD with the shit too, man. So it's more a matter
Oh,
of
sure.
trying to keep things in a place. But I guess it also kind of helps with, I guess, kind of knowing where things are if I need to reach for it, or kind of helping to kind of figure out where I want to go if I'm a bit undecisive on that day.
Yeah,
It's practical.
all
Yeah.
very impressive and valid reasons to organize something like that. As someone that cannot organize my closet to save my fucking life. So, Robert, man, as we wrap up, I think the final couple of questions, which are related, we just wanted to know what your oldest piece or garment was, and what your favorite was overall. I know
Hmm.
these are loaded questions, but
Yeah, the oldest piece. Hmm. Um. Yeah, I think there might be a bandana or two in there that's 19th century.
ooh,
Um,
some turkey reds.
Jesus.
yeah, some turkey red, some kind of old cowboy shit.
Nice.
Uh, big, big, patterned. I got a couple of those in the mix. A couple like World War I era jackets and shit like that. There's a few of those mixed in there. So if pressed, I might even pull out a pair of like late 19th century bright ass fire engine red trousers.
Dude, those sound insanely good.
Yeah, a couple maybe 1900s to 1910s 20s Stetsons might be a couple of those up in there as well.
Okay, all right.
So there's that. As far as was it favorite piece was the other part of that one?
Yeah, kind of just your love it no matter what kind of piece.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild, man. I mean, when I hear questions like that, I kind of default to, okay, well, what the fuck am I saving from a fire?
Right. Yeah. Perfect.
And that one's probably going to be the Battery Bird, man. I always come back to that one.
Okay.
Of all of this shit, that one to me is just the most irreplaceable. But what's funny too is that, and I don't wear these that often, but I would, if I walked by the closet and looked in and saw those Okinawa boots on the top shelf, I think I'd have to grab those too.
Right.
I've never seen another pair out in the wild. That was probably the luckiest acquisition I kind of happened upon, and it's been I guess kind of being on the hunt for something specific and never expecting to find it, and kind of having one fall into your lap. That would be that one. It's probably going to be like, what can I throw on, right? Like these snakeskin Code West that I'm wearing now and wear all the fucking time. Like I'm probably throwing those on as I'm leaving the burning house.
Right.
I'm putting the Battery Bird around my neck. You know what I mean? I'm throwing the 30 Stetson on, and I might pull the Chimeo jacket up out the closet too, man. We ain't coming up on too many more of those.
Yeah,
in this lifetime. So that's probably going to be that's probably what I'm walking out with.
All right, yeah, dude.
I'm glad that you put it all on. I think that the realistic nature of that is funny.
Yeah. Oh well, Robert, man, we've had a blast talking to you today, and yeah, just getting to hear people's history and kind of what they dig and what they love, man. It's nice.
Well, thank you all again for having me. I've really enjoyed the series. I've heard every episode. I think it's dope. Your subjects have been dope. I'm just glad to. I don't find myself as remarkable as some of your previous guests, but I'm glad you guys have kind of kept me in, added me to the rotation, and I hope I run into you again sometime, Matt. Man, I'll let you know when I'm in Atlanta, bro.
Dude, fuck yeah, please do. This is one reason. This is one reason why we wanted to have you on, Robert, because you're so fucking humble. Like, it's been
yeah. And then now it's our turn to be humble and say, like, every guest who comes on this show is a genius. That's why we get them. Duh.
And that's what's good, man. I mean, Con, listen, I get up to be more, man, and see what's popping up there. And
you should both come. It's really a lovely place. I think that I have never taken someone here and they've been like, what a pile of shit. So I think it's a great town.
All right. That's what's up, man. Well, I'll keep you both posted again. Thank you for having me on.
Of course.
I appreciate the hip hop question. I was expecting the top 5 question, but I'm glad you threw me a curveball with the top 3 Dirty South question. That was a very nice way to describe it.
Oh man, I have a good idea from time to time. That's all I can say about that.
All right, I did.
But yeah, Robert, plug yourself, my friend.
Yeah, get at me, Vernon Valentine on the gram. if you're interested in throwing a few dollars at the scholarship, you can send me a DM at Vernon Valentine on the gram, or you can just Google Waldrup, WALDRUP dash Crosby, CROSBY, scholarship at Tulane Law School. Find all the details there to donate. Couple dollars here, a couple dollars there. Throw a pledge. Help us get to that million and fund a fully ride scholarship in perpetuity. If you're an attorney listening to this and you want to get down with some mentorship, holler at me in the same way on the gram, and we'll get that popping too for our students.
Hell yeah. Great plug. We are Apocalypse Duds at Apocalypse Duds on Instagram. apocalypseduds@gmail.com if you've got questions or want to tell us that we're fucking idiots. I'm Matt Smith at Rebels Rogues.
And I'm Connor Fowler at Connor Fowler.
And thanks for listening.